Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Happy International Day Against Nuclear Tests. What a very oddly specific holiday to have, especially today of all days. So a couple of days ago, the private beta for the Dissidia Final Fantasy NT PS4 game finally came out. They've been talking about it for, I want to say, a couple of months at this point, and everybody finally got their codes and was able to play it the other day. I actually did 2 live streams on the game here on my channel where I gave away 5 codes on my Discord server, which you can find in the description. Sorry if you missed out, I don't have any more codes, but I don't know, maybe you'll still be able to find some. It's actually really funny because you needed 2 separate codes. You needed a code to put into your Square Enix account, and then from the Square Enix account, they gave you a code to put into the PSN. And at first, they gave away some like a couple hundred codes for the Square Enix accounts on this website. But I found out like super late, so pretty much all of them were gone. And my friend kept telling me like, no, keep trying. There's gotta be one that's available. And I was like, eh. So I just went to this other website where you sign in, and I was like, if I get a code, then cool. And if not, then oh well. And then a couple weeks later, I got a code, which was pretty cool. It's actually funny because most of the people that ended up getting a code through their email actually got 2, which at first I thought was weird, but then I thought, well, maybe the reason why they're giving everybody 2 is so they have at least one other person to play with. Since the beta doesn't actually require having PlayStation Plus, pretty much anybody was able to play it, so I thought that the idea would be that you get one and you give one to your friends so that you can play with them, and then you have, again, someone to play with on the beta. But I guess that's not actually the case, because you can't really play with your friends. You can only play with randos online unless you happen to get matched with your friends, which is like a 1 in a million opportunity. Okay, it's probably less than that, but still. Now, I guess I should point out in this video that there was a recent patch for the Dissidia game. I personally still have not played it since the patch came out, but from what I heard, they somewhat fixed the matchmaking issues, because that was kind of a thing with the beta. Matchmaking was terrible. If you guys have played the game or have seen anybody play the game, then you know that, 1, 2, 3 minute waits for a match is not really that rare. And if the wait time becomes too long, they'll just end up pairing you against computers. So you could end up waiting all that time just to essentially get like a practice round in with computers that you could have done in like 3 seconds. Supposedly, the patch fixes that, although I can't really confirm because all it says is like various bug fixes, as they usually say. Don't give me that fucking iPhone App Store bullshit, Square. And the computers are not really that great. I mean, they're not bad, but they're definitely a lot easier than the people that you'll play with online, which I mean, may seem obvious, but I wish that there was some way that you could adjust the difficulty for the computers. That would be great. But again, it is just a beta, so I'll give them some credit. I guess even though matchmaking itself did take a long time, I'm assuming that it's because not very many people were playing the game and waiting for a match at the exact same time, despite the fact that they gave away so many codes. But when I was actually playing against people, I don't think that I ever dropped a single match because of the connection. Some of them were certainly very laggy, although it's worth pointing that that was a very small minority. I think that of all the probably like 30 or so matches that I had online, there was only like 2 or 3 that I would say were really bad in terms of lag. Granted, the game would sometimes drop the connection while you were waiting for a match, but while you actually were fighting, it never got disconnected, which is a good thing, I guess. In fact, there is actually no way to quit yourself even if you wanted to. Well, I guess you could obviously like close the game, but other than that, you can't like go to any kind of menu or quit, which I guess makes sense, but in terms of modes, quote unquote, there's only really 3 things to choose from in the menu. There's the online matches, which is probably what you're going to be doing the majority of the time. The practice mode, which I hope, pray to God, fingers crossed, that they still let us play after the beta is over, but I doubt it, honestly. And then there's this tutorial, which isn't really a tutorial because you don't get to play through it or do anything. It's just kind of a video that tells you like, hey, these are the controls, and it's really, really weird. Hopefully they have something a little bit better for the final release. I don't know if this is like the video that they had for the arcades. It would make more sense there, but yeah, on the PS4 it just seemed kind of weird. Like, just let me play through a tutorial. I want to kind of know how the game controls, because they actually did change some of the controls for this version. But in general, this game doesn't really feel too different from the older Dissidia games. I remember actually actually, the night that the beta came out, I downloaded it like super late, and because my internet is shit, it took a couple hours to download. And I was like, in the meantime, let me boot up Duodecim and play through a little bit of that. And I realized how out of practice I was with Dissidia, because god, I sucked. But it was really disorienting going into the new one because they actually flipped some of the controls. Now, some of the things were a little bit better in this version. For example, when you dash towards a character, you no longer need to press the shoulder button and then triangle. You could just press R1 and then you go to the character, that's it. Some of them made a little bit less sense, like they switched the attack and jump buttons from circle and X to the other way around, which I'm assuming is just a Japanese thing, because as most of you probably know, in Japanese PlayStation 4s, circle is actually go and X is back, and they just flip it anytime that they release games outside of Japan. That's why in the older PlayStation Final Fantasies like FF7 on the original PS1, you had to press circle instead of X, although they fixed that in the re-releases, obviously. So I'm assuming that they just didn't change that for the international version. I don't know if it's going to be different when we actually get the full game on PS4, but it's a change that's worth pointing out. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people that have never played the older Dissidia games say that this is not really what they were expecting it to feel like, and I can definitely understand why. Like, from the trailers, you can sort of get that like Kingdom Hearts hack and slash, like pseudo Nier, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry type of thing, but maybe a little more simplified. However, it doesn't play like one of those games at all. I definitely have to say that the older Dissidias and this Dissidia have a unique gameplay feel to them that I haven't really seen in any other game, and that you really can't get across until you finally play it yourself. That being said, the game was still fun as hell to play. I mean, compared to the older ones, you did have a lot less character customization. You were a lot more limited in that front, but again, it's a demo or like a closed beta, so obviously they're not going to have all the different features that they will in the final game. I'm not sure how much of that they have in the arcade version, but I'm assuming that even if they don't have it, then they'll add it for the PS4 release, hopefully anyways. In terms of playable characters, they only had the main 14 being the Warrior of Light, Furion, Onion Knight, Cecil, whatever you want to call them, Bartz, Terra, Cloud, Squall, Zidane, Tidus, Shantoto, Vaughn, Lightning, and Ishtola, which for those of you guys that don't know were the main 14 characters that came out when Dissidia first came out of the arcades, and all of the extra characters that we have now were actually added afterwards. The only real new character from the older games here being Ishtola, who personally I'm not a huge fan of. If I had to pick mains that I would like to play as, I'd probably say Lightning and Squall, just because they were my mains in the last two Dissidia games. And also, I was pleasantly surprised with Bartz of all characters. Those three are probably the ones that I'm going to try to get good at before, you know, the demo time runs out. Which again, would be great if we could still play the practice mode when the online is done, Square Enix. I'm just saying. But the characters feel nice and different enough. None of them really feel like they are similar to each other. One thing I will say though, and somebody pointed this out while I was live streaming it, if you actually pay attention, you can see that pretty much all the characters, with very few exceptions, have the same face model with very slight, subtle changes. It's just something that I kind of couldn't unsee after somebody pointed it out. Like, damn, Square, you're really that lazy? You're not gonna put different faces for the characters? It's also worth pointing out that the game is available in both Japanese and English sub and dub. They didn't really redo the lips for the English version, but again, it's just a beta, and I'm not even sure if they're gonna do that for the final release. If they don't, I won't really be that mad, but again, worth pointing out, I guess. The stage variety, I would say, is pretty cool too. We have a bunch of different stages that they showed off for the game. One thing that I will say is that the stages incorporate a lot less verticality to them, because in the older Dissidias you'd be like running up walls and into like the roofs of places a lot. That happens a lot less in this game. I'm not really too mad about that. It was a cool aspect in the old Dissidia games, but I'm not really missing it that much in this one. But overall, I just gotta say, you know, the characters all feel unique and fun. The stages are all pretty cool. The summons definitely look cool. The game just feels great to play overall, and supposedly they did fix some of the matchmaking issues that they had. So in general, I'd say that this beta was pretty damn good, especially compared to the last beta that we got for Final Fantasy 15 Comrades, which was just kind of But with this one, I definitely cannot wait till Dissidia comes out on the PS4. Absolutely gonna be a day one buy for me. I think it comes out January 30, if I'm not mistaken, which funny enough is exactly one day before the Final Fantasy VII 21st anniversary. Look at Final Fantasy VII old enough to drink already. Well, in January, but still. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you guys got a chance to play the beta. If so, what did you think about it? And if not, what character do you want to be confirmed that we haven't seen yet? Personally, for me, other than Noctis, which they've talked about a couple times, I'd have to say Orin from 10 or Caius from 13. But either way, I guess that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe as always. Stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy. See you guys.